What's it going to take? What is it going to take? Recently, President Obama agreed with French President Sarkozy that the Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, is essentially a terrible person, not to be trusted, and indeed a liar. What is it going to take, my Jewish brothers and sisters, those of you still clinging to President Obama, those of you who voted for him in 2008, what is it going to take to convince you that President Obama is no friend of Israel? Maybe you're one of the Jewish folks that believes that the mere existence of the state of Israel is truly the problem, and if Jews would sort of impose a diaspora among themselves and go back to where they came from, then the world would have tremendous peace. If you believe that, you're wrong on two fronts. Number one, God gave the land to the Jews. Case closed. Number two, as I understand the doctrine of war, to the victor go the spoils. Israel, in a series of wars, won that dirt, already gave some back, but is holding on to what it properly and legally won. And do you Jewish folks out there that are clinging to Obama believe for 1 second that if the Arabs won any of those wars, they would consider giving back an ounce of dirt? What is it going to take for you to separate yourself from President Obama because he's no friend of Israel? You see, as a Jew, you have the blood of Abraham, of Isaac, of Joseph, of Moses flowing through your veins. That is a very high calling, and a calling that I saw clearly articulated at the AIPAC convention this past year. I was there with 10,000 Jewish folks, and I watched President Obama, who had infuriated the Jewish community by saying just mere days earlier that there needs to be a reconsideration of the 67 borders, infuriated the Jews that were in that audience, and many were talking about standing up and walking out when he came in. I was 50 yards away from the president when he walked on the stage in a magical moment of manipulation and played that Jewish audience like a fool. He was speaking in such a way that within 2 minutes, the audience was giving standing ovations, except for the Jewish folks I was with that are not clinging and connected to a president who is no friend of Israel.
Good morning. Thank you very much. Good morning. Thank you. Thank you so much. Please have a seat. Thank you.
What will it take? Those of you who were in that audience and were standing and clapping for this president, what's it going to take for you to realize he's no friend of Israel? And if you were there at AIPAC, you also saw the Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, speak. And he was interrupted by the leftists that had snuck in and handled it marvelously. And as I watched both leaders, I saw in Netanyahu a world-class leader, and I saw in President Obama a world community organizer. And when I heard what Obama and Sarkozy had said to one another the other day, not only did my blood boil, as yours should, and I'm not even Jewish, I'm a Christian, but I was so aggravated at what took place. Well, I'll read to you what was said. It was at the G20 conference in Cannes just recently, and behind closed doors with a hot mic, Sarkozy says to Obama, he says, "I can't look at Netanyahu anymore. He's a liar." And Obama responds, "You've had enough of him. I got to deal with him every day." If we were just dealing with kids in a schoolyard, no big problem. But when world leaders have this underlying view of the Prime Minister of Israel, ladies and gentlemen, there are global, catastrophic consequences just before us. Now, my Jewish brothers and sisters, the 78% of you that voted for him and are clinging to him, what's it going to take for you to deconstruct that conversation, to parse out that conversation, and conclude that President Obama is not your friend? If you're a Jewish person, he's not your friend. And when I looked at those words and I considered the life of Benjamin Netanyahu, my blood boiled even more. My anger rose to a degree where I'm going, what are the Jewish people thinking about? Netanyahu at 18 years old, by the way, he was the first prime minister to be born in Israel in 1949. At 18 in 67, he joined the IDF and went into the Special Forces. In 1972, he participated in the Sabina operation, 571, Flight 571, and was shot. Spilled his blood on Jewish Israeli dirt in Israel for the sake of his nation. In 73, he fought in the Yom Kippur War and almost died. And we all know that Prime Minister Netanyahu's brother was killed at Entebbe. Then over against this Jewish historic hero who again shed his blood for his people and his land, I see President Obama calling him a liar, a president that never fired a shot in anger, probably never fired a gun, speaking in an elitist manner to a man who's on the brink of keeping his country from being extinguished by Islamic madmen. And I say, where are the Jews in America in supporting Israel and Netanyahu, and why are they clinging to President Obama? And I've concluded that many of you who cling to him have traded your heritage, your providential calling, as one to whom the law was given, as one to whom life was given. You've traded that high calling for a temporary moment of liberal comfort in beautiful America. And if I can ask anything of you today, it's to reconsider why you cling to President Obama, someone who is no friend of Israel. And believe me, from a national security perspective, Israel needs all the friends she can get. And at the front of that line should be every single person who has Jewish blood flowing through their veins. Think about that and think, what will it take for you to separate yourself from President Obama?